Welcome. Welcome to the Chemistry of Life, RAJNARAYANAN'S Biochemistry Lecture Series, integrating life with updated scientific information, a multidisciplinary approach. RAJNARAYANAN'S Biochemistry Lecture Series include a series of lectures which will be uploaded to this channel. The topic of lectures are on specific areas in the field of biochemistry and molecular biology. We hope these lectures will be very useful for students of undergraduate and postgraduate courses as well as researchers in the field of medical, paramedical, public health, biology and other branches of natural sciences. Diploma holders in paramedical sciences who want to upgrade and update their knowledge can also access this channel. Your suggestions and comments are very much valuable and well appreciated and may help in the improvement of this channel. Most of the topics in this lecture series are prepared in an integrated platform by keeping a multidisciplinary approach that is not usually seen even in biochemistry reference books. Therefore, we suggest these lectures will be highly useful even for practicing medical professionals. Chemistry of Life, exploring the chemical basis of life. RAJNARAYANAN'S Biochemistry Lecture Series is scientific, reliable, authentic, precise and simple explanation for the chemical basis of life. In this lecture series, the first lecture is Introduction to the Chemistry of Life. The main objectives of this lecture include: what is biochemistry, what does it deal with, understanding the biochemical basis of life, understanding the biochemical composition of the living body, understanding the biomolecular organization of the living body. Why do we learn biochemistry? Scope and application of biochemical knowledge. Importance of water in the living system. Basic understanding of acids and bases. Basic understanding of buffers and buffer system. Cell as the structural and functional unit of life. Cell as a metabolic factory that brings about the property of life. Introduction to the Chemistry of Life will be delivered and uploaded to this channel as 4 parts. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3 and Part 4. Introduction to Biochemistry Part 1 include discussions on basic definitions and concepts in life science, definition of life, properties of life, definition of biochemistry, areas of biochemistry, scope and applications of biochemistry in different fields. Introduction to the Chemical Basis of Life Part 2 include discussions on the biochemical composition of human body and biomolecular organization of human body. Introduction to the Chemistry of Life Part 3 includes discussions on water, discussions on acids and bases, discussions on pH and buffers, and about physiological buffer systems of the body. Introduction to Chemistry of Life Part 4 includes discussions on cell as the basic structural and functional unit of life, cell as a metabolic factory. Based on the comments and feedback, more detailed explanations and lecture videos will be uploaded to this channel in the future. To achieve the objectives, we are going to discuss the topics under different headings. These are arranged in a very step-by-step manner, or we can say in a simple to complex manner, for the better understanding of introductory biochemistry. We request the viewers not to miss any part of this lecture for getting a complete idea about the chemistry of life. That is very important prerequisite to understand future lectures. As a beginning to part 1 of Introduction to the Chemistry of Life, let's review some of the very basic concepts and definitions related to life and life sciences. These topics are intentionally incorporated for those viewers who are in the UG classes or below, and those who are from other backgrounds and disciplines. What is science? Science is a systematic way, or we can say science is a systematic approach of understanding or studying the truth or the facts about nature. A systematic way of understanding or studying the truths or facts about nature, that is science. What is technology? Utilization of the scientific knowledge and principles for the well-being of man. That is the definition for technology. Let's see what are the basic branches of sciences. The three important branches of science are biology, physics, and chemistry. Biology deals with the study of living things or living organisms, or we can say biology deals with the study of life. It is also known as life science. What is life? Life cannot be defined properly, but it can be explained on the basis of its properties. In literature classes, what is the definition of life? We will say life is like a drama, life is like a story, life is like a game, etc., etc., etc. But in scientific discussions, the definition should be more of scientific and must be based on updated scientific informations. As per the updated scientific informations, life cannot be defined properly. But the chemical basis of life can be explained. We will discuss the chemical basis of life as this lecture goes on and proceed to the next session. But for the time being, let us understand life cannot be defined properly, but can be explained on the basis of its properties. The so-called properties of life. Let's analyze what are the important properties of life, or what are the important properties of living things or living organisms. The first one is the ability to respond to various stimuli. This stimuli can be in the form of physical stimuli or chemical stimuli or biological stimuli. Physical stimuli include sunlight, temperature, humidity, etc. Stimuli include factors like smell, the presence of pollutants in the environment, other chemical and nutritional factors. What is meant by biological stimuli? Biological stimuli include the ecological relationship between organisms. This includes attraction between opposite sexes. No organisms can exist alone. All inhabitants in a particular area forms an ecosystem. There is energy flow and biogeochemical cycles between different components of the ecosystem. All living organisms interact among themselves and also with the non-living environment in which they live. All these interactions are coming under biological stimuli. So we can say that all living organisms can respond to different forms of physical stimuli like sunlight, temperature, humidity, etc. Different types of chemical stimuli like smell, nutritional factors, etc. And different types of biological stimuli. Another important property of living organism is movement. We can observe different types of movement in a living organism. One example is the light directed movement of plant parts towards sunlight. It is known as phototropism. Another important property of living organism is the ability to grow or enlarge in size. Growth takes place by means of cell division and cell enlargement. So this is a very important property of living organism. Another important property is the ability to self-reproduce or self-multiply or self-divide to produce next generation. So reproduction is an important property of a living organism. What is reproduction? Reproduction is the ability or the capacity to produce. The process of producing next generation is known as reproduction. Another important property is the ability of regeneration or repair. If there is a wound or a tissue damage, that tissue will be automatically repaired. That capacity or that phenomenon is known as regeneration. Another important property of living organism is the ability of energy production and energy utilization. There is a balance between energy production and energy utilization in a living body. Now we are coming to the most important and the most fundamental property of living organism. That is the ability to metabolize, or we can say the capacity to do metabolism. What is metabolism? About metabolism, we need to have little more discussions. Let us move to the next slide. Now we are going to discuss the following things. What is meant by metabolism? Why the ability to do metabolism is considered as the most fundamental property of living things? How we can explain the relationship between metabolism and life? What happens to the metabolism when the body is diseased or disordered? Or what happens when metabolism stops. So these are the things we are going to discuss now. Metabolism is defined as the sum total of all the biochemical reactions. We can call it as metabolic reaction. So metabolism is defined as the sum total of all the biochemical reactions taking place in a living system or living body, which are very essential for the maintenance of the energy balance, physiological processes, life activities, and thereby life. Once again, metabolism is defined as the sum total of all the biochemical reactions taking place in a living body, which are very essential for maintaining the energy production, physiological processes, life activities, and thereby life. Metabolism can be categorized into two types of reactions: anabolic reactions or synthetic reactions. These are mostly reductive processes. You know what is oxidation and what is reduction. So anabolic or synthetic reactions are reductive processes. Anabolic processes means that complex biomolecules are synthesized from simpler biomolecules at the expense of energy. The energy will be obtained from high energy molecules like ATP. There are many examples for anabolic processes or anabolic pathways in our system. For example, the synthesis of proteins, the synthesis of complex proteins from amino acids, the synthesis of glycogen by the polymerization of D-glucose units. You know, glycogen is a polysaccharide stored in liver and muscles tissues. The second category of metabolic reactions are called catabolic or degradative reactions. These reactions are mostly oxidative processes. Previously we have seen anabolic process or synthetic reactions are reductive in nature. Catabolic or degradative reactions are oxidative in nature. What is catabolism? Catabolism involves breakdown of complex molecules into simpler molecules with the liberation of chemical energy, and that chemical energy, that free energy, is incorporated and stored in the form of high energy molecules, mainly ATP. So complex molecules are broken down into simpler molecules, chemical energy will be liberated, and this chemical energy will be incorporated and stored in the form of adenosine triphosphate or ATP. There are so many examples for oxidative reactions or catabolic reactions. For example, oxidation of D-glucose into carbon dioxide and water, oxidation of amino acid into carbon dioxide and water, oxidation of fatty acid into carbon dioxide and water. All these are examples for catabolic processes. If you are going to have a close observation on metabolic pathways, we can understand that some of the metabolic pathways have the properties of anabolic pathway as well as the properties of catabolic pathway, or we can say that they are both catabolic and anabolic. They are both energy producing and energy utilizing. They are synthetic, at the same time they are degradative. Such pathways are known as amphibolic pathways. A very good example for amphibolic pathways is Krebs cycle or citric acid cycle. It is a very important cyclic pathway that is operated in mitochondrial matrix. We will have a very detailed discussion on citric acid cycle during another lecture. So now you understand what is metabolism and what are the different types of metabolic pathways, and we have seen different examples for each category of metabolic pathways. Now we are going to see why metabolism is considered as the most fundamental and most important property of living organism, by which living organisms can be differentiated from non-living things. Let's analyze what is the fundamental relationship between metabolism and life. If metabolism is disordered, what will happen? If metabolism stops, what will happen? We are going to see all this. Look at the left hand side of the present slide. You can see normal metabolism. If there is normal metabolism in an individual, there is normal energy production and energy utilization. So there is a balance between energy production and energy utilization. So if there is a balance in energy metabolism, in that individual, the physiological functions will be normal. Let me repeat once again. If there is normal metabolism in an individual, there will be normal energy metabolism, and if there is normal energy metabolism, there will be normal physiological functions like circulation, muscle contraction, excretion, digestion, absorption, thermoregulation, etc., etc. And if all these normal physiological functions or all these physiological functions takes place normally, in that individual there will be normal life activities, or we can say there will be normal life characteristics, or we can say an individual with normal metabolism will have normal energy metabolism, and if there is normal energy metabolism, there will be normal physiological functions, and if there is normal physiological functions, there will be normal life activities, or such an individual exhibit normal life characteristics like normal movement, normal reproduction, normal nutrition, regeneration, etc., etc. So we will say such an individual will have normal life. On the other hand, just have a look at the right hand side of the present slide. If the metabolism is abnormal, or if the metabolism is disordered, or if there is an imbalance in metabolism, what will happen? The energy production and energy utilization will be affected. So we can say there will be an imbalance in energy metabolism. So this imbalance in energy metabolism will lead to abnormal or disordered physiological functions. The circulation will be affected, muscle contraction will be affected, nerve impulse propagation will be affected, excretion will be affected, digestion, thermoregulation, all the physiological processes will be affected. Or we can say an individual with disordered or abnormal metabolism will have disordered physiological functions. If the physiological function is not normal, what will happen? It will affect the life characteristics. It will affect the normal life activities like movement, reproduction, nutrition. All life activities will be affected. And we will say such an individual is disordered or diseased. What is the remedy? See, all the diseases and disorders will have a biochemical basis. Or we can say disorders in metabolism can lead to different types of diseases and disorders. If this disorder in metabolism is treated by giving medicine, the individual can return back to the normal life, provided if the medicine is effective. If this disease is not treated properly, or the treatment is not effective, if the disease is not treated properly, or if the treatment is not effective, metabolism will be stopped. There will not be any metabolism. So if there is no metabolism, what will happen? Obviously, that will lead to death. So I hope now it is very clear about the relationship between metabolism and life. Normal metabolism is important for normal life activity, normal life. Abnormal metabolism will lead to diseases and disorders. And if the metabolism stops, or if there is no metabolism, that will lead to death. That is the reason why metabolism is considered as the most important property of life, or the most fundamental property of life. So this is a very important concept in biochemistry. The relationship between metabolism and life is a very important concept in biochemistry. Now we are passing on to some other basic but very important definitions. Before that, let's analyze how the living organisms are classified. Living organisms can be classified into three groups: animals, plants, and microorganisms. Accordingly, there are three major branches for biological science. Zoology, that deals with the study about animals. Botany deals with the study about plants. And microbiology deals with the study about microorganisms. Zoology is also known as animal science. Botany is also known as plant science. What are microorganisms? See, there is a separate branch or a separate division in biological science that deals with the study about microorganisms. What are microorganisms? Micro means microscopic. Because they are not, why they are called microscopic? Because they are not visible with the naked eyes. They are visible only with the help of a microscope. They are visible only under a microscope. So the study about microorganisms is called microbiology. Microorganisms include mainly three groups of organisms: bacteria, fungi, and viruses. Bacteria and fungi are having cellular level of organization, but viruses do not have cellular level of organization. Viruses are considered as partially living. When viruses are outside a living cell, they are abiotic, but when they are inside a living cell, they act like living organisms. And viruses are all parasitic in nature. So these are the three major branches of biological science: zoology, botany, and microbiology. So far we have been discussing about some of the basic concepts or definitions in life sciences. Now let's come to the definition of biochemistry. What is biochemistry? What does it deal with? Biochemistry can be defined as an interdisciplinary area of science that deals with the study of the chemistry of living organisms. Or in another way, biochemistry can be defined as an interdisciplinary area of science combining both biology and chemistry. If you define biochemistry in a more detailed way, we can say it deals with the study of the structure, the chemistry, properties, and functions of different types of biomolecules, and the reactions between them that is essential for the maintenance of physiological processes, life activities, and thereby life. See, in this definition, very clearly the relationship between biomolecules, metabolism, and life is explained. So it includes the study of different types of biomolecules, the structure of biomolecules, the chemistry of biomolecules, properties of biomolecules, functions of biomolecules, etc., etc., and the reactions involving different biomolecules. We can call it as metabolism. The reactions taking place in the living system is called metabolism. So biochemistry includes a study of metabolism also. And what is the importance of metabolism? We have already discussed. Metabolism is very essential for the maintenance of physiological processes, life activities, and also for the maintenance of life. So by this definition, the relationship between biomolecules, metabolism, physiological functions, and life is clearly established. Look at these slides. This slide shows the interdisciplinary nature of biochemistry. Look at the position of the biochemistry. Biochemistry is positioned between chemistry, biology, physics, and also medicine and health sciences. So we can call biochemistry as a biomedical science, because biochemistry is having applications in biology, chemistry, in physics, and also in different branches of medicine and health sciences. Like biochemistry, biophysics is also an interdisciplinary area between biology and physics. Bioinformatics is interdisciplinary between biology and information technology, or we can say between biology and computer application. Biotechnology is interdisciplinary between biology and engineering, or between biology and technology. In olden days, we have divided science into different branches: physics, chemistry, biology, etc., in order to study in detail about each branch. But nowadays the reverse is happening. Actually, we cannot separate different branches of science, because in nature all these branches exist together. Let's take the example of our body. Without studying the chemical composition, or without studying the reactions, without studying the metabolic pathway, the study about the biology of our body could not be completed. So biochemistry is becoming important. Similarly, there are so many physical phenomena in our body, like absorption, circulation, contraction, filtration, transport. All these are physical processes taking place in our body, in our system. A thorough understanding of this physical phenomenon is very much important for better understanding of the biological aspects of our body. So biophysics is also becoming important. So biochemistry explains the chemical aspects of the living body. Biophysics deals with the physical aspects of the living body. So by merging biology and chemistry, an interdisciplinary branch is formed that is known as biochemistry. By merging biology and physics, another interdisciplinary branch is developed that is known as biophysics. Why these are called interdisciplinary branches? because they stand between different disciplines. Biochemistry and biophysics are having lot of applications in modern health science. So they are also known as biomedical sciences. Similarly, biotechnology, bioinformatics, all these are modern areas of interdisciplinary sciences. So merging of different disciplines lead to the concept of interdisciplinary areas. Okay, let's move to other concerns about biochemistry. Biochemistry can be divided into different branches or different areas. Animal biochemistry that deals with the biochemistry of animals or biochemistry of animal system. Plant biochemistry deals with the biochemistry of plants. Of course, there are so a lot of difference between animals and plants. There are similarities also, but there are differences also. Let me tell you one example. Animal cell doesn't have a cell wall, but plant cell has cell wall that is made up of cellulose. There are many other differences. So what we mean is there is lot of biochemical difference between animals and plants. So the biochemistry is also little bit different between plants and animals. Another branch is microbial biochemistry. It's with the biochemistry of microorganisms like bacteria, viruses and fungi. Then clinical biochemistry, also known as medical biochemistry, that deals with the biochemistry of humans. The study of clinical biochemistry will be helpful in the following. Clinical biochemistry will help us to understand the biochemical background of different types of diseases and disorders. It also helps us to understand the pathological changes during infectious diseases. It provides tools and procedures for the correct diagnosis of the disease. It also helps in the patient evaluation during treatment process. Another important area of biochemistry is enzymology, that deals with the study of different aspects of enzymes and enzyme catalyzed reactions. You know, enzymes are biological catalysts. Metabolic reactions are catalyzed by special types of catalysts known as enzymes. So the study about enzymes is called enzymology. Then immunobiochemistry, that deals with the biochemical basis of immunity. What is immunity? Immunity is the defense of our system against infections. So there is a biochemical background for this immune response. All these are coming under immunobiochemistry. The neurobiochemistry deals with the biochemical basis of brain functioning. We know human brain is like not like, it is more than a supercomputer. So many properties, so many functions of the brain is unclear. Learning, memory, all this is cannot be explained based on the current knowledge. So neurobiochemistry is an area which needs a lot of attention and research. Nutritional biochemistry that deals with the biochemical background of nutritional deficiency diseases and disorders. Biophysical chemistry that deals with the chemical basis of life processes like membrane transport, osmosis, diffusion, buffering, electrolyte balance, etc. etc. Then physiological biochemistry deals with the biochemical aspects of physiological processes like digestion, absorption, muscle contraction, nerve impulse transmission, acid-base balance, etc. And finally, molecular biology, the most modern area or modern branch of biochemistry that deals with the molecular aspects of life, especially of gene and gene functioning. Molecular biology is considered as the most modern area of biology. Molecular biology techniques are having wide variety of applications in modern medical science. Now let's discuss a very important topic in part 1 of Introduction to Chemistry of Life, that is the general scope of biochemistry. Why we should study biochemistry, what is the importance of biochemistry, what is the scope of biochemistry. The study of biochemistry is essential to understand the basic functioning of all living organisms, including plants, animals, and microorganisms. The study of biochemistry helps to understand the biochemical composition of different species and their comparison. The study of biochemistry helps to understand the biochemical background of different physiological processes such as cell division, growth, movement, respiration, photosynthesis, reproduction, etc. etc. The study of biochemistry is essential to understand the basic functioning of all living organisms that we have already discussed. The study of biochemistry will help to understand and explore the medicinal properties of different plant parts. Biochemical knowledge is essential for quality analysis, processing, and value addition of agricultural and food products. This helps to increase the market value of the product. Biochemical knowledge is helpful in tissue culture practice that helps to improve the productivity in agriculture. The development in plant biochemistry led to the development of transgenic plants. Transgenic plants means genetically engineered or genetically manipulated varieties having more productivity or more resistance to diseases. So for the development of transgenic plants, biochemical knowledge is very important. And nowadays, modern biochemical techniques like PCR, agarose gel electrophoresis, fingerprinting, blotting techniques, etc. are commonly used for species identification and also to explore inter-species relationship, or we can say to explore phylogenetic relationship between different species. Biochemical and molecular techniques are highly useful. The entire genetic constitution or gene composition of an individual can be elucidated by using modern biochemical techniques. By using biochemical techniques, gene from a plant or from an organism can be isolated, and it can be amplified and stored in bacterial colonies by gene cloning technique or molecular cloning technique, and the gene can be preserved in laboratories called gene bank. And these preserved genes or these stored genes can be easily transferred to other species for the development of transgenic plants. Therefore, the study of plant sciences or any other branch of biological or agricultural sciences will not be proper or will not be completed without having enough biochemical knowledge. So biochemical knowledge will be highly useful. It will be very helpful for research in all branches of biological and agricultural sciences. And finally, let us come to the application or scope of biochemistry in modern medical practice. Biochemistry will help to understand the biochemical composition of the human body and to understand the biochemical variations between different cells and tissues. It helps to understand the biochemical background of various physiological processes and life processes. Biochemistry helps to understand the mechanism of various cellular processes such as membrane transport, absorption, etc. Biochemistry helps for thorough understanding of the metabolic processes and also to know how they are integrated and balanced. Biochemistry helps to understand the mechanism of immune function. There is a separate branch called immunobiochemistry. Biochemical knowledge also helps to understand the mechanism of gene function and genetic information transfer. Biochemistry is very important in the diagnosis of the disease, to understand the root cause of the disease, to understand its severity, and also for patient evaluation during the treatment process. Biochemistry provides tools and procedures for the development of vaccines. Gene therapy. There is a modern treatment protocol called gene therapy. It is a developing area. It is an area of very intensive research. Gene therapy will be helpful in the treatment of genetic disorders. Molecular medicine. There is a new area. There is a new treatment protocol in modern medicine called molecular medicine. And this molecular medicine is giving much scope in the treatment of neuropsychiatric disorders like Alzheimer's disease. Gene banking, gene cloning, these things we have already discussed. Genetic engineering technique is one of the application side of biochemistry. Forensic medicine. Biochemistry is having a lot of applications in forensic medicine to reveal the cases of crime and also disputed paternity cases, to prove disputed paternity cases, Biochemical knowledge also helps in recombinant DNA technology for the production of recombinant proteins like insulin, gene therapy, gene cloning, gene banking. All these are providing much hope in modern medical practice. The structure and function of 100,000 genes present in human genome have been recently elucidated. That project is known as Human Genome Project. This was possible only because of the development in molecular biological techniques. And this knowledge may revolutionize the modern medicine and treatment procedures in the future. So these are the scope and applications of biochemistry in medicine and health sciences. So part 1 of lecture 1, Introduction to the Chemistry of Life, is ending here. Thank you for your cooperation. Thank you for listening to this lecture. Your comments, likes and dislikes are appreciated. Thank you for subscribing this channel. And finally, protect yourself and the society from COVID-19. Thank you. Thank you so much.